All right, really fired up to chat with Ken Pomeroy, kenpom.com. I am a huge, huge fan of kenpom.com and Ken Pomeroy, the work he's done. He has been influential in the world of college basketball to the point where Jared Calhoun mentions the system that we're in right now and why he has to run up the score against the Memphis Tigers. Joining us now, Ken Pomeroy, kind enough to hang out with us. Ken, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Scotty. I'm glad you brought that up. I was hoping we could chat about the controversial MJ Collins dunk at the end of the game.
The windmill dunk to put Utah State up by 24. They win that game 99-75. And afterwards, Penny Hardaway's a little grumpy, says that's classless. Jared Calhoun says, hey, look, every possession matters. And when you're a G5 school and you're trying to play the analytic game, I'll tell my guys to keep scoring, and I will not apologize for it. Did he do the right thing?
So, yes. So there's so much to unpack here. But, yeah, yes. He did the right thing. He's dealing with the incentives that have been presented to him. We do have to clarify, in his post game, he said, I somehow established the rules here, but it's the NCAA establishing these rules. I have my own system that's for its own purpose, and the NCAA has established these rules where there is that perception that every possession matters. I do find it hard to believe that dunk's going to make any difference to whether Utah State gets in or whether they get a certain seed or whatever. But I can't say that it wouldn't because again, the NCAA has their own system, which rewards that kind of situation. So I don't think. Like Jared Calhoun did the right thing. I think it's a bad system when those things are rewarded, and people are probably like, "Well, Ken, that's your system. Why? How can you say that?" Well, my system's not designed to select and seed tournament teams. It's designed to predict the future, and the NCAA really should just be rewarding wins and losses. And whether you win by 22 or 24 should be irrelevant. Utah State should just get credit for beating Memphis. Regardless of if they win by 2 or 24 or 56. That would be the proper system, and we don't quite have that system. And, I don't blame Jared Calhoun for doing that, but I also think it's not the best system we could have.
So let's just use Ken Pom, for example, and talk about, because if people don't know, there's no emotion, there's no eyeball test when it comes to your rankings. It's all computer-driven. So Utah State's got Boise State coming up next. You have a anticipated score of Utah State winning that game by 11. If they only win that game by 2, how much does that affect them? And I'm talking broad, generalization here.
Yes. So they probably dropped 3 or 4 spots just looking at the rating. A lot of it depends on how closely rated they are to neighboring teams. So, let's just say at this time of year, you played 25 games. So, 9-point difference is not going to have some earth-shattering effect. If they were number 1 in the country, they would still be number 1, right? Because there's just such a distance between 1 and 2 usually. But when you're in the mid-20s, it'll knock them down by 3 or 4 spots probably.
What is there a bigger gap between being hurt by a 2-point win or a bigger advantage by winning by 25 when you were supposed to win by 11?
Yeah, there would probably be about the same advantage. The more lopsided the game gets, the less effect those extra points have on the ratings. They still have an effect on the ratings because, again, I'm in the business of making predictions, and historically, those points do matter when we're evaluating a team in terms of making predictions. If they win by 25, they go up by 3 or 4 spots.
Ken Pomeroy, kenpom.com, joining us right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Even though it is somewhat similar, the net and Ken Pom, and I don't know, have they let you behind the curtain on how they put the net together at all?
Not really, and that's the whole thing, right? We do so there is this. Yeah, we could use more transparency. I'll share this little tidbit. Before the season, first game of the season, I get a call from a coach, and we'll just humble brag here. The coach who's won a national championship.
No
and
big
he was
deal.
Ken, did they change the net formula this year? I heard they changed it. Running up the score doesn't help you anymore. I was like, that's weird. I haven't heard anything about that, and I would probably know. And so the coach passed me on this article that was on NCAA.com, and they hadn't changed the net formula, but they had written something where they said running up the score doesn't help you because we're only concerned about efficiency or whatever. But anyway, not to get to the woods here, but like running up the score still helps you.
Yeah.
They don't like the person writing this article didn't like. I mean, we don't know exactly what the net formula is, but got a pretty good idea. And there's no cap on margin of victory or anything like that. So, so if you're just looking like offensive and defensive efficiency, that's driven by how many points you score and allow. So, the more points you score and the less points you allow, the better you're going to look in that formula. And it really seemed like this article misrepresented the net formula itself. And I don't know that for sure, but that's it's a kind of odd situation we're in where there is like the NCAA is more transparent about this stuff than they were, say, 20 years ago. But there's still a lot of mystery about this thing, and it's needless mystery. Like it's a formula that determines, if you're getting in the tournament or not. There should be more transparency around it.
So let's talk about some teams. Give me your thoughts on the Aggies. Now currently ranked 24th in your Ken Palm numbers. I think they're 21, 22 in the net. This is an Aggie team that's very balanced. They've got good scoring. They play defense. They force steals. They get fast break opportunities. Overall, what do you think of Jared Calhoun's crew?
Yeah, really impressed. I mean, I think this is the best Aggie team we've seen over this, really maybe the post Stu Morrill era. I don't know if that's overstating things or if I'm forgetting a team, but really impressed, really solid. They just go out and take care of business, and obviously had that that stretch a month ago where they lose the Grand Canyon, which is not that big a deal, and they lose the UNLV at home on a game that they should have had. And losing the UNLV at home is not good. But since then, got right back to taking care of business. Had a little bit of a struggle on the road to Wyoming, as some teams do, but pulled out the win there, and things look great. And yeah, they're super balanced. It's a type of like team construction that works really well. They've brought back some core program guys from last year, supplemented it with some good transfers, and they're just a machine. Like the defense is solid, the offense is good. They can shoot it from three, but they're fifth in the country in 2-point percentage. So you just look around at all the various stats for this team, and you don't necessarily pick up on any obvious weaknesses. Like this is a team that we understand the struggles that non-San Diego State, Mountain West teams have had in the tournament in the past. They're always reluctant to predict some sort of deep run in the tournament, but if it's ever going to happen, it would be with this team.
When you the Mountain West Conference is kind of an interesting situation because I talk to a lot of coaches. They all think the conference is more competitive from top to bottom, but that may have worked against them. This certainly isn't going to be a 5-bid league this year. 3 may be it, and probably could be 2, depending on who wins the conference tournament. Do you think the conference is stronger, and have they cannibalized themselves a bit?
Yeah, I mean, this is it's a good read on things. Like obviously you got the automatic wins in terms of Air Force and San Jose State, but after that, the middle of the league is stronger, and it's stronger in a way that you're not. People are going to say, Utah State struggles at Wyoming, and it's like, well, oh, whoa, like Utah State's overrated. They must be overrated. Like, how can you not just go and crush Wyoming? And but Wyoming's like decent, but they're fully healthy. Like they're ranked around number 100, and road games against teams like that are pretty difficult. Like for a team ranked 25th in the country, like you're gonna lose like 1 in 3 of those games, something like that. So however you get a win there, regardless of the style points, should be viewed as a not a super high quality win, but certainly a win that shows that you're a tournament team. And then when you lose those games, it's a problem. And Utah State has mostly avoided that minefield, but other teams have not. And tonight's game is a great example, or tomorrow night's game is a great example where Boise State obviously has racked up a few losses. They're not going to the tournament, but they're ranked 58th in my system. So, they're still a team that's difficult to beat, even in Logan. And it's a team that's not going to get a lot of respect nationally. So you do have to win those games. And it's kind of like a disproportionate penalty almost.
Yeah.
So it's a problem with, it's a problem across leagues like the A10, kind of these leagues that are 1 or 2 bid leagues where that the middle of the league is good, but not great, not tournament worthy, but they're certainly capable of beating the top teams in the league. And it is kind of a drain on your league's total number of tournament bids.
When the schedule came out, I texted Jared Calhoun and I said, hey, Mountain West may have it in for you because you only get San Jose once and you only get Air Force once. And he said, no, actually, we look at that as them doing us a favor because we don't have the drain that those two schools might bring on our computer numbers. So while the level of competition goes up night in and night out, and while the level of difficulty goes up, we also anticipate we'll be rewarded because of the numeric value of who we're playing. Was that the right mindset to have?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, this is like the strategy that the WCC eventually figured out, where it was like, we want Gonzaga and St. Mary's to not play the bottom teams. We want them only to play the top half of the league twice and then play the bottom half once. So he is correct. And in a better world where those like middle level games were valued more appropriately by the selection committee, and maybe we're like getting on a path where they're going to do that better, using things like strength of record and wins above bubble. Those ones would be rewarded appropriately, and the schedule would be perfect. It's exactly how leagues should schedule things. Avoid having the top teams play the bottom teams, because there's nothing good will come of playing Air Force. Like, either you win by 30 and things are good, or you win by 10 and your net rating gets dinged a little bit, or you lose and your tournament hopes end up getting damaged. So yeah, I think Coach Calhoun is on the money with that one.
BYU suffers a really rough injury with Richie Saunders, and then they hold on. They find a way to beat Colorado, but the Cougars are in a bit of a slump. Give me your thoughts on where they're at and how much this Saunders injury could hurt them.
Yeah, I mean, it's brutal. There's no way to avoid it. Part of the storyline with BYU this year has been the lack of depth, and in college basketball, depth doesn't really matter on a game-to-game basis. Like, they had a roster that could do some damage in the tournament, but depth obviously matters when you have a season-ending injury. And so when you have just three guys that essentially make up the bulk of your offense, and one of them is gone, nobody's going to no single person is going to step up and fill what Richie Saunders did, and even collectively, like, the bench is not going to step up and fill his gap. So you're just going to get even more AJ DeBonso, more Rob Wright. Those two guys are going to dominate this offense, and it's going to be especially tricky for them to continue to be as efficient as they have been up to this point in the season. I have them like 22nd as of today, and if you assume Richie Saunders is worth, say, like 3 points to the team, and you adjust the rating accordingly, like, they drop into the 30s, which is still a tournament team, but it's just not a team that has that explosiveness anymore to make a deep run. I do think sometimes people overreact to injuries, but in BYU's case, because they're so dependent on these three guys, I don't think an overreaction is necessarily possible here. Like, it does really hurt what they can do. I
know that this isn't a complete. I'm broad brushing here a little bit, but generally, what kind of range? Where's your cutoff point in your numbers that you've seen teams get into the tournament as an at-large? Is it 30s? Does it go into the 40s at all, or is there a number where it's kind of the point of no return?
Yeah, I mean, mid-40s is probably like maybe mid-40s to 50 is probably like the average in a given year on the worst at-large team. But there are special cases, and this year there's a very special case, which is Miami, Ohio, who is undefeated and I think still ranked in the 80s in my system. And they've just won every close game on their schedule. They played a very weak schedule, didn't play anybody in non-conference, and obviously playing the MAC. And so they're not really getting that exposure against top 50 teams, which is part of the reason they're undefeated. But the other part is they're a good team, and the other part is they've had some good close game success. And I'm fairly sure Miami, Ohio can lose one and probably two. Like, really, realistically, they should be able to lose two games and get into the tournament as an at-large. If you look at like strength of record type stuff, they rank really well there. And the fact is, like, even if you threw Miami's schedule and gave it to Utah State this year, really hard for Utah State to go undefeated against that schedule. You're just going to have an off night and lose a game. And so what they've done is impressive, and hopefully they get in. and they probably would set a new standard for like lowest ranked at-large team to get in. But I do think based on their accomplishments and again their wins and losses, which is what we should care about, accounting for their schedule, of course, I think they would deserve to get in.
All right, let's get to the biggest story in the world of sports right now. Did the Canadians cheat in curling, and how egregious was it?
Yeah, cheat's kind of a strong word, but their third, Mark Kennedy, I would say knowingly violated a rule and then denied it later, which was, part of the problem, and then dropped some expletives on the team accusing him of cheating or breaking the rule. So, yeah, there was a violation of the rules. It's not really clear what advantage was gained by doing that, but probably some small advantage. It's something he's done in the past. So yeah, controversy in the curling world by those conniving Canadians.
I know, right? Cheaters, all of them.
Come on.
Hey, all right. So kind of handicap what we're seeing here, and who's your favorite?
Favorite in the curling world?
Yes. Yep.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, hey. Yeah. Canada, despite their cheating, is probably they're looking pretty good right now. They're at the top of the table on the men's side, and I think they're probably the favorite to win there. Well, actually, Switzerland is top of the table, but Canada, I think, will win it. On the women's side, that's where we still have hopes for the good old USA guys. It looks like, barring something crazy happening, that our team, skipped by Tabitha Peterson, will make the 14 playoff round. Tough competition there. You got Switzerland, Sweden, and probably Canada, who started off pretty slow. Three really good teams. So, we will be the true underdog story. We do make the playoffs there. But, we've had the underdog story before. 2018, the men's team won, came out of nowhere. So it is possible. So keep an eye on the U.S. women. So
if Team USA if Team Canada does not win the gold, is it like a dream team not winning in basketball? Is that the kind of upset we're talking about, where Canada should be winning this every year?
I mean, they certainly feel that way. The fact is, they don't win it every year. They didn't. I believe they didn't win any medals, or certainly didn't win golds. Then they won no medals in the last Olympic.
Oh wow!
Competition. Yeah. So it's been, I think, 3 Olympics since they won a gold. So there's a little more variability in curling than there is in basketball, at least at the Olympic level. Obviously, the U.S. kind of owns Olympic basketball on the men's and women's side. And Canada, historically has way more depth than any other country. But at the very top, the very best teams from each country, there really isn't a gap. Places like Scotland and Sweden, they're just, they're having their curling teams just do curling, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. And Canada or the U.S., we let our curlers have day jobs and live lives. So it's a little bit of a competitive disadvantage in that sense.
All right. I know you play a lot. So I did talk. I've never pushed a stone. I've never done anything curling related. I have heard, though, it's more physically taxing than I think a lot of us believe it is.
Certainly the sweeping part. Yeah, the throwing part is actually not bad. But the sweeping part is the aerobic activity. That's where games at the highest level are won and lost. These athletes are Olympic-trained athletes. They have, amazing technique where they're just putting all their weight on this curling broom to try to sweep as fast and as strong as they can. And, I always tell people when I'm giving a lesson, you can sweep as hard or as light as you want here. It's we're not testing you on that, and sweeping is a lot of work. So if you don't want to put in the work, that's totally acceptable. But obviously, if you're trying to win games at the highest level, it can be pretty exhausting to do that sweeping for 3 hours of curling.
Do you have your own stones, Ken?
No. So that's the one of the beauties of curling is that the stones are all provided by whatever place you go to play at. So stones are quite expensive.
I need some lessons, heavy. Ken. I need some lessons.
Do you have your own?
I'm so into it.
Do you have your own broom?
I do have my own broom. I have my own broom. Have my own shoes. Yeah, have all that stuff. But the stones are that's not something you would own yourself.
I don't think that's something you're going to be lugging around in a backpack. Probably.
No, you're not gonna check that in on your flight out to Toronto or something.
Hey, Ken, you're the best, man. Thanks for joining us and giving a little curling, a little love, and a breakdown, man. We appreciate it.
All right. I appreciate the time, guys.
You got it. Ken Pomeroy, get there, kenpom.com.